Søren Kierkegaard, born in Denmark on the 5th of May, 1813, is widely regarded as one of the first existentialist authors in human history. He is known throughout the Western world for his lifelong dissatisfaction with the ideas of absolute knowledge and religious dogma, his vast array of published works of literature, and, most notably, his philosophical beliefs on how to live a religious life to the fullest. To explain his ideology most clearly, it's important to reference his biography. Growing up, the young Kierkegaard developed a fascination with theology and philosophy in general. He rarely left Copenhagen until completing a degree at the university in his two disciplines of interest. During his higher education, the future author studied under three well-known philosophers at the time. Two were fiction writers, and the third was the Archbishop of the Danish People's Church, Hans Martensen. Martensen was also a proud supporter of Hegelianism, a philosophy of German idealism which states that the rational alone is real, and all aspects of existence can be expressed with rational ideas. After enough exposure to the man's teachings, Kierkegaard developed a resentment for the bishop and his categorizing beliefs, noting him as his chief intellectual rival. Consequently, for the rest of his short life, most of Kierkegaard's enemies shared common ground as believers in Hegelianism, making the ideology arguably the subject he fought against the hardest in his entire literary career. As a boy, Kierkegaard was an avid Christian. By the time he started writing, however, the religion's agreement with Hegel's philosophy had led his relationship with it to develop into something more complex. Instead of rejecting the teachings of the Bible, however, he wanted to restore meaning and truth in the church by proving to all Christians that it is made up of not just rational, but also abstract concepts that can be believed in, but not explained or fully understood. To do this, he knew that people would have to discover the true nature of God themselves. It was his thought that there is much more potential for understanding, meaning, and satisfaction when you learn something yourself rather than adopting another view. By the time he'd become a young adult in Copenhagen, Denmark had adopted a new capitalist system, and institutions of religion could be seen promoting the idea of the stereotyped member of the crowd. This added to Kierkegaard's motivation to advertise the importance of taking responsibility for one's own existential choices and transcending socially imposed identities. A main concept of Kierkegaard's doctrine is called the art of taking away. In Kierkegaard's mind, to escape harmful outside influences, you must reduce excess knowledge and force yourself back onto your own resources. People need to be able to find their own unique sense of purpose without the help of ancient religious customs. There was no doubt in Kierkegaard's mind that a truly meaningful life could only exist through heartfelt self-reflection. Minimalism was the only ticket to perceiving what God is. In today's world, a relatable example would be the daily distractions of the modern-day teen. Often, when we're surrounded by all of our personal belongings, we feel distracted. Imagine how life would be if we put all objects that we didn't make ourselves away, and instead used the creativity in our brains to think of things to do and build tools to help us do those things. It would be a different daily routine, but one could argue that we'd feel a greater sense of purpose when we are solely responsible for our own well-being and satisfaction. That's minimalism. Another important aspect was Kierkegaard's promotion of originality. In order to expose people to his perspective while also giving it as much meaning and significance as possible, he needed to not impose his beliefs on others, but use his literature to turn readers in the right direction so that they'd come to their own conclusions. He credited most of his works to pseudonyms so as to divert the reader's attention from the writer to the text itself. Any existential or religious meaning would be discerned from individual reflection. Take the example of copying homework. If you are stuck on a math problem and you copy the right answer off a friend's work, you can be sure that you'll get the points, but what you don't get is the gratification from tackling a problem on your own. Likewise, if one adopts the view of a religious establishment, what they ultimately end up lacking is the unrestrained feeling of living by one's own philosophy. So, next time you have the choice of taking someone else's view on an issue or forming your own, think about which is easier and which will be more meaningful in the long run.